Hey, welcome back. This is Tom at Sales Made Easy, the podcast where my job is to make your sales a little bit easier, right? And or your people's sales a little bit easier, or make it easier for you to help your people make their sales a little bit easier. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit like, join my podcast. And I've got actually a couple seminars coming up that I'm going to do. And if you join and like, you'll be able to get those be able to join those in the future. So love to have you join those. So here's what I want to talk about today, and that is top line versus bottom line. Now, these are terms used probably at the CFO accounting basis, maybe your CEO, maybe your president, maybe your private equity term. They're saying we got to grow our top line this, we got to do this, organic growth. You hear those terms. And you might hear them in sales, probably if you're in enterprise sales, but you hear them more so in the big office. But I want you to start taking those words into your life as a salesperson. And here's why. Every time I'm talking to salespeople, and I've been working with sales teams and salespeople for 30 years, every time I start working with them, everything I always hear all the time, and I don't care, I've been working with you for 2 years. You know what the one common thing says? I need help with price. It's always, how do you deal with the price objection? How do you deal when you lose a deal with price? How do you don't, by the way, you don't lose a deal with price. That has nothing to do with it. That's their excuse. So I want you to think about a couple of things. Bottom line versus top line, and a couple clues of how we're going to deal with price from now on. So it's some figuring I want you to do. You got to do some math here, but I want you to think differently, and don't think about the math problem, but I want you to think about the end result. And so when someone, first of all, wants you to think about the fact that your company brings you in the back when they hire you and they show you all the value they create. This is how we add value to our product or service. This is why our product or service is so much better than our competition. This is why our product or service is more efficient than our competition. And you sit there and fall in love with that. And then you walk into a prospect and they say, and you talk to them for 10 minutes and they say, can you get me a price on this? And you go, yes. And you really think you convinced them with 10 minutes of your conversation that you have more value? Here's the problem. When you're too early in the conversation, they ask you for a price. That is the prospect's way of getting rid of you. Now, why do you accept it as, oh, this is a good thing? I want this account. I might be able to be their second source. Oh my God. The reason you accept that is because sales is tough. You get beat up every day. Yeah. When you know what, as a salesperson, you get 2 accounts leave you in the same month and you didn't get 2 of the deals that you thought you were going to get this month. It can be pretty depressing for a commission sales rep. And so when someone says, give me a price in this, and it's a positive, you jump on it. And all you're doing is losing another prospect. So here's what I want you to start thinking about. When it's too early in the process, I want you to say, no, I won't get you a price, or I can't get you a price. Maybe not in those words, but I want you to stop giving prices. Because think about it. You come in my office, you tell me about your stuff and how much better you are. And after 10 minutes of listening to your crap, I say, great, give me a price. And you run away and get me a price. Now, here's the number one thing. Every sales book, every sales methodology, every sales thing in the world, everything I've been reading sales books all my life, every one of them say, you have to have rapport with people. Every one of them says that. You talk for me for 10 minutes. I say, get me a quote. You run to my office and you actually think you have rapport with me? Oh my goodness. Come on. We're smarter than that. So you have to build rapport. If you go and get me a quote, you ain't getting the deal. This is my way to get rid of salespeople. They come in, they bore me to death for 10, 15 minutes. I say, give me a quote. They leave. And when they send me the quote, by the way, they don't even call me back. They email me the quote, which is the dumbest thing a salesperson can do. And I say, your price is too high. And they go away. So here's what I want you to do. When they say, get me a quote too early, say something like, Hey, you know what? I'd love to get you a quote, but right now you're on page 20. I'm still in the table of contents. Can we back up for a minute? Do you mind if I ask you a question or two to see if we're a good resource? Or you might sit there and say, to be quite honest with you, at this point in time, why would you buy from me? Wouldn't it make more sense for you to ask me some more questions about my company and maybe me figure out what you're doing now and see if there's any gaps I can fill? Because I might not be able to help you any more than what your current vendor is doing for you. Wouldn't that be a smarter, almost like a consultant way of talking, as opposed to a vendor? And a vendor says, here's my price. So that might be a little smarter thing. Now, the other thing you can do, third option, is when they say, give me a price. Oh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. When they say, give me a price, you say, we're going to be higher than what we're paying, than you're paying now. Oh, that's a scary one. But to be quite honest with you, it's amazing how many people will say to you, why are you more expensive? Or why should I pay you more than I'm paying somebody now? Now, if someone says, well, then get the heck out of here. Yeah, they're buying a Kmart, which isn't a business anymore for a reason. And you just wait a little while and call them back tomorrow. Or majority of people are going to say, why should I give you more? Why are you higher priced? Which they're basically saying, would you mind telling me everything you learned about your company when they try to teach you about the value they create? Would you mind telling me that value? That's really what they're saying. So I really want you to start thinking about that. How can you create that? Because when you start doing that, what happens is you're going to get more orders. You're going to get a relationship. Now, if someone says, I just want a price, just give me a price. Well, get them the price. But do it in turn to build a relationship. In other words, someone says, I just want a price. Not a problem. More than happy to get you a price. Hey, could you do me a favor? I realize I'm helping you by getting you a price, maybe to beat up your current supplier. Maybe you need a third bid. But if I got you a price, would you mind sharing a cup of coffee with me in the future? Because I'd really just like to talk to you, learn a little bit about your business, learn what you're doing now. So I'll get you a price today. Could we have maybe a 20-minute cup of coffee together, maybe in the next week or two, and use it to build a relationship? But get a price, but don't expect you're going to get the business. So that's one. The other thing, if it's further down the road in the sales process and they say, well, price is important, or your price is higher, or whatever it is, it's about price. They get into that. The words out of your mouth need to be, can I ask you a question? Is it about price or is it about bottom line cost? Because I might be able to sell you something cheaper and cost you more. But I'd rather look into, can I make you more effective, more efficient? And if I can, then it makes sense for us to do business. Even my price might be a little higher. But to be honest with you, if I can't make you more efficient, more effective, then I wouldn't be a good resource for you, even if I am cheaper. Right? Because cheaper only means it's cheaper products. It's not gonna last as long. So could we talk about your overall cost and how more effective you'd like to be and how more efficient you'd like to be? It's amazing when you actually talk that way, because you're talking that way. You're talking as an advisor with those words that are coming out of your mouth, not a salesperson. You stop being a salesperson when you say words like that, and you start becoming an advisor. And when you do stuff like that, what happens is money starts to flow, right? When you stop being a vendor and start being an advisor, money starts to come in your way. It's tough though, because you really don't want that order. You want that price. You want that job. So I want you to start thinking of when someone says it's about price, or we're long and hey, it's about cost. Hey, we're trying to say whatever. They look at, I want to be a good resource for you. And a good resource makes you more effective, more efficient. They save you bottom line profits, bottom line dollars, which makes you more profitable. And that's my job, is make you more profitable so you look better for your boss. Now, if you just want a lower price, I might do that, but I might not be as profitable. So can we talk about the efficiency and effectiveness of currently what you got going on? Start doing that. And when they start saying top line, I want a price, you start going bottom line. I'd like to talk about bottom line. I had that recently happen to me where someone said, hey, we'd like to use your services, but we're going to wait till we grow 10% top line. And I said, well, you're not going to grow 10%. And if you grew 10% top line, then you don't need my services. But you're not going to grow 10%. You might. You have to hire 2 or 3 more salespeople, and you grow 10%, and then you lose 3% in the bottom line. So how about if I was able to increase your bottom line profit by 5%? Would that make a difference? Because if you increase your top line 10%, you're probably hurting your bottom line, because the only way you know how to do it is hiring more salespeople. So I want you to start thinking about it. When someone hits you with price, don't get all flustered. Oh my goodness, I got to lower my price. It has nothing to do with lowering price. It's time to be a consultant. Stop being a vendor. When they say something about price, now's the time to have that consultant conversation. And stop just sitting there blowing your mind, doing all the math, trying to sharpen your pencil. I want you to start being a salesperson and stop being scared about the price conversation. All right. This is Tom at Sales Made Easy, Sales Made Easy podcast. Here to help you make more sales. Click like, click subscribe. Next week, we're going to have a guest on here that's going to tell you a little bit about how he grew his business. See you next time.